everyone to today's session of NBS Meet the Students. Thank you all for waking up on an early morning. I think 11 a.m. is quite early, right? So thank you for waking up on a Saturday morning and joining us here. Today's session is going to be really exciting. That's what I can promise you. So stay tuned. And if you're just streaming in, let your friends know that today's NBS Meet the Students session is happening right now. Okay, here with me I have many different students from NBS, and I am a former graduate from NBS where I graduated last year. So while we're waiting for everybody to stream in, we've actually set up a Slido for you guys to send in all of your burning questions to us, okay? So the code is slido.com/NBSOH. So if you've got any questions, how is university like? How is CCA and NTU like? What is the modules that I can take in NBS? Feel free to ask us any of the questions, and we're super excited to be sharing a lot more about our student life and how it's been so exciting for us. So while you guys are streaming in, we'll take this chance to first formally introduce ourselves, and I'll start with myself. So hi everyone, I'm Genevieve, and I'll be the host for today. As I mentioned, I just graduated from NBS last year, so I'm old but not so old, still rather young, okay? And I'm actually currently working in Love Bonito in brand campaigns. Apart from that, I'm also the founder of Kairos Streams and also a freelance actress and host. So really excited to be here today. I specialize in marketing, so we have a lot of different specializations here. So maybe we'll go on to Ellie.
Hi everyone, my name is Ellie. I'm a final year student at NBS here. I'm studying the double degree program in Accountancy and Business Analytics.
Cool.
So a little bit more about myself, I actually co-founded an organization called Skills for Good, which is a tech-based platform that connects skilled volunteers to non-profits in Singapore. So really excited to be here today and meeting all of you. And I'm hoping that I can graduate this coming May.
Cool. Fun fact about Ellie, she's actually in the running for valedictorian, so she'll definitely graduate by May. I don't know what she's talking about, but she's just trying to wake you guys up, okay? So now let's move on to Ethan.
So hi guys, good morning. My name is Ethan. I'm a year 2 accountancy and business student, much like Ellie, and I'm also from the business analytics specialization. So outside of the academic curriculum, I'm also the president of the Accountancy and Business Club, and I'm also the council chairperson of the NTU Students Union. So really nice to meet you all, and looking forward to receiving your questions.
Nice. So if you guys have any questions about council, about CCA life, he's the best person to ask, okay? So send in your questions. Once again, before we introduce the last person, if you're just streaming in, a very warm welcome to you. We are taking questions from slido.com/NBSOH. So keep sending in your questions over there. And now on to you, Shini.
Hey, hello everyone. I'm Shini, currently a year 2 accountancy student. So a fun fact about myself is that I'm an international student from Malaysia. So I came to Singapore 2 years ago for university.
Wow.
So currently I'm the financial controller of Tamarind Hall, which is one of the halls in NTU. I was also the chairperson for a recent Lunar New Year event that happened in NTU.
Cool. Wow, you can see right here today we have a very diverse range of panelists. Now, I'm sure we are all here to share a little bit more about the flavor of what NTU's life is, right? So I see there's a lot of questions coming in, so we're super excited. We'll get right to it in a moment. But I think let's go and answer a little bit more about how our experience is in our academic lives in NTU. Okay, let's take it away to Hive. Now, if you don't know what Hive is, a very warm welcome to Hive. Now, this is one of our biggest photo spots in NTU. Okay, they call this place the dim sum, right? The dim sum building. Okay, so it looks like the dim sum, the carriers, right? So it's very cute, but more than that, it's actually a place where we have our classrooms in, and we have a lot of classes in. It's a very conducive place for studying. There's libraries there, there are open areas for you to study. There's even a cafe. There's also a merch shop where you can buy NTU merch at. So very, very happening place. So no better place really than to answer any academic related questions here at Hive. Now, I see we've got a lot of questions, and let's start taking some questions. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, you don't sound very excited. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Okay. Let's start with, how is the academic life in NBS? Is it stressful or difficult to cope? And what is class participation? Okay, that's a lot of questions to break down. So let's answer the first part. How is the academic life in NBS, and is it stressful or difficult to cope? Now, why not Ethan share a little bit more?
Okay, so thanks for the question. I think one thing that really stands out about NBS is that there's a very good balance between, you know, your academic life and also the non-academic activities. So personally for me, I think having been an MBS student for 2 years, I find that it's really very easy to balance. Obviously, there's a time to study and there's a time to relax, and I think that's something that MBS students do very well. We know how to work hard and we know how to play hard. So don't be worried if it's too stressful. I think it's certainly within anyone's means to cope well. Yeah.
Okay, okay. And coming from the chairperson of the council himself, right? I guess that means that in NTU, you know the saying, it goes like, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, right? You can see we don't look very dull. We're all very vibrant, happy people. So clearly we do have that good balance that we can strike across in NTU, in NBS especially. So I think, yeah, it's pretty manageable. But why not let's take the next question. What is class participation? So I think class participation is something very foreign if you're coming from JC or if you're coming from Polytechnic. You might not exactly know what it is, and it's a very foreign concept. So let's dive right into it. Let's get Shini to take this question.
Okay, so class participation is a component in our grade. So it's like students should ask questions or to share their opinions in the class. And there's a lot of opportunities to do that because our classroom are usually seminar based, where students will sit in a group having like group discussions. Then after that, we will like share our view in the class. Yeah, so class participation is actually to encourage students to speak out in the class.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
and even for like introverts or people who are shy, at the end of the day, actually like everyone is able to do it. So it's a really good opportunity for people who are more shy to like practice speaking out.
Indeed,
Yeah.
I agree, right? Because when we go into the corporate world, it's all about how you can voice your voice out your thoughts and also be a good communicator, right? So I think kickstarting your experience of class participation within classes, it's a very good opportunity and platform for you to just expose yourself to airing any thoughts that you have, right? So I think it really prepares you very, very well for the working world. So thank you for that. Okay, let's go to the next question. Why did you choose NBS over other local and overseas business schools? Now, I think there's no better person than to answer it than Shini, because she's actually an international student and all of us here are local students, right? So what made you decide to actually go so far away from home? Okay, not super far, but quite far away from home, all the way to Singapore for NBS. What is that factor for you?
Okay, so originally I was already enrolled in a local uni in Malaysia. But when I got an admission offer from NTU, like MBS, I was thinking that, oh, I need to take up this opportunity because it is such a great opportunity.
Wow, that's very dramatic.
Yeah, I mean, it is, because MBS is a really high-ranking school in the world. And yeah, so when I look further, and Singapore is so near, it's like the nearest country from Malaysia, right? So I was thinking, yeah, I should just come to Singapore.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. I think definitely the prestige is one thing. It's MBS is a very reputable business school that's very recognized. So that really helps us to get easier work opportunities as well. But apart from that, I think we can share a little bit more for the local students, right? What makes MBS that X factor for us? Ethan?
I think for me, a big deciding factor was actually when I came to NTU Open House. So actually when I interacted with, you know, the seniors who were helping out at the MBS booth, one thing I could really tell was that they really knew what they were studying and they really knew like in-depth knowledge of their individual specializations. And you know, oftentimes people say that business degrees are very general, but that's not what I found from the seniors in MBS. And true enough, you know, in my 2 years here, I really do believe that, you know, the technical skills that are inculcated in us through the academic curriculum is really very useful and applicable in the working life, which I experienced when I went for internships. Yeah.
Wow, I feel very inspired now. Okay, what about Ellie?
For me, it was the campus life in NTU. It really drew me here. So, I mean...
What about the campus life?
Oh yeah, so, you know, I've had this very ideal image of uni. You know, you come to school, you hang out with your friends, you know.
Is
like
it because
pitch
you watch
perfect.
YouTube videos and then they show you all the
Yes.
like NTU hall makeover and then it gets like 100K of views, right? And then we're like, wow, what a dream.
Yes. Wow, that was really my dream, you know. And I think NTU offers one of the best campus life in Singapore. It's one of the most vibrant. There's so many activities that we can participate in, aside from, you know, just studying in school all day.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, we'll touch a little bit more about hall life later because I think that's something that's very integral to all of our lives here in NTU, right? So, okay, let's answer the next question. how has school life been affected by hybrid or online learning? Now, we are all in the COVID-19 pandemic now, and I know coming into NTU, it might be a very scary experience, like, oh, like, how can I find my friends? Are there, like, opportunities for me to be able to interact and network with people? Yes, there is. So let's share a little bit more about what NTU is, what stage are we at in NTU in terms of our hybrid learning? Okay, Ellie?
Yeah. So NTU actually adopted this thing called a hybrid learning type of education program. So what we do is we have online lectures where you kind of get the basic fundamentals of what we're covering per week, and then you come to class where you can actually interact with your group mates through seminars. So from there you can also do the class participation that Shin Yi mentioned
That's
just now.
right.
So I think it offers a really good chance to have more self-directed learning, because actually you can control the speed of your lecture videos.
Wow.
So it's a lot better than just purely classroom learning. And at the same time, you get the added benefit of coming to school, interacting with your friends, making, really lifelong friends in NTU.
Right, so is NTU currently still in hybrid learning, or are we shifting to more physical classes?
I think hybrid learning is still around. I think it's going to be here to stay. But definitely we have a lot more focus on physical classroom settings again.
Right. Okay, I think both has its plus points, right? In the hybrid learning, you have that time flexibility as well to pursue your passions out of school. But with that physical classes, you can really experience that strong community and that network here in NTU. So you can really make like lifelong friends, in university. So I think both is fabulous. Don't worry, I think it's pretty easy to adapt, and there are a lot of resources available here for you, where if you feel like you're unable to adapt, you can just engage their help. Okay, let's go to, I see 7 people have upvoted. Is it very packed since the degree can be completed within 3 years? Are you guys feeling very stressed? Don't worry, okay? What's the average number of modules to take in a semester? Okay, let's take this question, okay? I think a lot of people are very worried, right? Because they feel that other business schools in Singapore, they have 4 years, but in NTU, it's 3 years. So they feel that it might be very compact. And actually, guys, that is a plus point. Look at Ethan here. He came from NS and he graduates in 3 years. That's something that actually I felt that a lot of my NS friends, they were like, okay, I need to go to NBS because I don't want to waste any more of my time. Like, I know I'm very certain what I want to do, and I know I just want like the shortest route out to have like effective learning and then pursue my career. Yeah. So what do you guys feel about that?
I think one thing that people often think, right, is that NBS program, as compared to perhaps other universities, is like a 4-year program being compressed and crammed into 3 years. But actually, it's not really like that. Actually, the 3-year program is a unique program in and of itself. So it makes sure that students that come out of it, they are covered on all the bases that are relevant to the business world. And it also gives you that in-depth training in whichever specialization you choose to go into. And I think it's the same for accountancy. Our accountancy program is really well renowned in the industry now, and I think a lot of our graduates are still very well sought by the industry, even though we only spend 3 years as compared to 4 years elsewhere.
Yeah. I think in terms of the exposure to the modules, we are definitely still as exposed across all the universities. I feel that when I compare with my friends out of NTU, we're still studying the same modules actually. So it doesn't feel really like it's like extremely compressed. I think it's actually a manageable pace. Yeah, so I think there's no worry about that. If you guys are very stressed, you can take a chill pill and come into NBS and experience it for yourself. Okay, so let's go to the next question. How do you handle the fast-paced lessons? One topic a week is super crazy for a slow learner like me. Any tips? Yes, indeed, the lessons are fast-paced, right? But maybe we can understand a little bit more from Ellie, because she does a lot of things outside of school, right? So how can you, with your current workload, right, how do you still balance your studies given that we cover one topic a week?
So I think one topic a week might be quite a far jump for people coming from JC, right? Because you're used to cramming
like
everything.
One topic in 3 months, right? Yes. Then you come here, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like A-levels. Oh my goodness.
Yes, but rest assured, it's not as stressful as A-levels. I mean, done and dusted. I mean, the 3 of us, we've been through A-levels. And I think we share this common understanding that actually in university, while it's one topic per week, actually the the workload is quite manageable. So there's quite a bit of time to do a lot of other things outside of school, like CCA. Ethan does that. I mean, I started an organization outside of school, so that's really, really a lot of time. As for any tips for you, I think basically just watch your lectures.
Be consistent. Like consistency is
be
super
consistent.
key.
Correct.
Because I wasn't super consistent at the start. Yeah. So that's a tip from someone who has been through that before.
Yeah. I think.
Any other tips from the valedictorian, please? Sorry, they also aspire to be like you. So I think the more tips you give them, the more compelled they are.
So I think consistency is definitely the key. Coming prepared for class. These are some simple tips that you can do to elevate your learning in class.
Right. So if you look at your normal schedule, right, how many hours of classes are there within a day?
It's not a lot. Actually, only around 4 hours.
Around
If
4.
you take
So
one
after that, you
module.
can do your own self-studying. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of like that flexibility in the time schedules as well for you to pursue your own things, or really even to just like if you're a slow learner, right, to focus that time after classes to catch up on other classes and then go prepared to lessons. Right. Okay, the next question we are gonna answer. Okay, I think we've covered quite a little bit about the academic life actually. So why not let's cover a little bit about CCA, because I see a lot of people, they are very curious about CCAs. So let's transport us to the wave. Ta-da! Okay, if you guys don't know what this is the wave. This is a place in NTU where a lot of the CCAs are happening. Okay, so you can see in the background there are people. Are they playing soccer? I think they're playing soccer. But yeah, you can see it's a very, very vast place, very pretty place. And fun fact, my hall was just right beside this stadium, so I always came after like school to just like have a jog or to use the gym, etc. So I think it's a very chill place. It's a place where a lot of the student life we actually gather to have fun and chill with our friends. Okay, so let's kickstart the questions about CCA. So if you guys have just joined us, we are actually answering questions regarding CCA life here in NBS in NTU right now. So if you've got any questions, right, you're thinking, how does CCA work differently from Poly and JC compared to university? Feel free to send in your questions to slido.com/NBSOH. And we'll take the questions really, really shortly. And if you like any questions, right, you can just upvote them. And then I'll be able to see it and I'll be like, okay, I'll answer it for you guys, okay? Okay, the first question is, what kind of CCAs are available in NBS and NTU? Is there a limit to the number of clubs I can sign up for? Okay, I think Ethan should answer this because he's the council chair. So, yeah, sorry, I keep saying this, right, but that means he's the most familiar out of all of us, okay? So, answer away.
Okay, so maybe I'll just the last part, which is there a limit to the number of clubs? No, but then again, you would have to balance it, with your academic responsibilities. Make sure that you don't get burnt out or have too many commitments at hand. And with regards to what kind of CCAs we have, well, we have CCAs that exist within NBS and also within NTU, so like across the whole university. So we really have lots of clubs and societies.
Right.
I'm talking about like hundreds. So if you're a sports person,
there's so many.
Yeah,
I told you he's the best person to answer this.
Yeah, so if you're a sports person, there's basically every single sport that you can go and join. You could join on a recreational level. You could also, if you're a pro, let's say, then you could join like the varsity team. Then if you're into arts, then
Are you a pro?
Nah, not really.
Not really.
Yeah, recreational only. Yeah. And if you're into the arts like music, you have all sorts of arts clubs. Like personally for me, I was actually from the jazz and blues band, so I was in there for one semester. It was quite enjoyable. And if you're a volunteering kind of person, then we have the Welfare Services Club, which Ellie here was the vice president of last year.
Ooh.
Yeah, and within NBS, we also have clubs that are like for the individual specialization. So we have like a marketing club if you're interested in marketing, or banking and finance club, so and so forth. So these clubs are really for you to like interact with the industry. So sometimes we would have like professionals coming in to share about their experience in the world.
And that's very helpful, right, for undergraduates, because we need that exposure actually. If not, we're just like clueless people navigating around. But with that exposure, it's super helpful.
Yeah, I mean for business and accounting students, networking is like our bread and butter. So these are like opportunities that we have. And I think that also, if you're into like, making NTU or NBS a better place, then you could join clubs like the Accountancy and Business Club, which is the club that I'm president of, and the
Dude,
Students
he's
Union
just
as
shouting
well.
out about
Yeah,
his
so
club
shout
now.
out.
This is unfair. Okay, enough airtime. Okay, I'm kidding. Okay, so what is some unique CCAs in NBS, for example, that they can join?
I think one unique and very special CCA we have is actually the Business Solutions Case Club. So they're actually a club that focuses a lot on case competitions, which are like competitions for business or accounting students to take part in, where they give you like a case about a business problem, and then you come up with like creative ways to solve it. And I think our club has done really well. They've won a lot of awards, both locally and internationally. So that's definitely something that people can look forward to if they come to MBS.
Yeah. Have any of you taken part in like case competitions before?
Yes, I have actually.
Maybe you can share a little bit more about case competitions, because I think coming into university, case competitions are quite a big thing, especially in NBS, right? So what is case competitions and what do they do for you?
Okay, so basically in a nutshell, case competition is kind of they give you a business problem for you to solve, and then within a set amount of time, you're supposed to come up with slides, break down the business problem, come up with recommendations, and then pitch it to the judges. And you are graded on your final pitch, basically, on how credible your solutions are, how feasible that is. I think it's a really interesting way to, it's a really, really enjoyable experience for me, because I think in JC, I've never had the opportunity to do something like that before.
Yeah.
You know, like a
the
real
biggest
world.
presentation was just, what's
PW.
that? Yeah, PW. I almost forgot what it's
Project
called.
work.
It's just PW, right? But in
Yes.
university, every week is PW. So I
Yes.
think it's super great because once again, it really gives that exposure in terms of confidence, in
Yes.
terms of building up your speaking skills,
Definitely.
and overall just being very clear on how to pitch a strategy and how to put together a presentation deck, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so I think it's super helpful. Okay, are there any other questions about CCA Live? Okay, maybe we'll just go straight into hall life then, since I don't see any of you asking questions about CCA. Okay, we'll go straight into hall life, which is something that's very, very integral as well in NTU. And don't worry if we miss out on any of your questions. We'll come back to them later if we have some time. But for now, let's transport ourselves to one of the hall canteens. Okay, right here where we are, you see a lot of people eating. You can see that there's something that happens a lot in NTU, because we spend a lot of time with our friends within hall canteens, our hall friends, just dining with them, just chilling after class, and experiencing and soaking in the hall life in all of its glory. Okay, so right behind me is Crescent Pioneer Canteen. Now that's just one of the canteens in the many, many halls in NTU. We've got over 20 halls, right?
Yes,
Okay, so
correct.
the hall president has to fact check for me. Do we have more than 20 halls?
Yeah, we have more than 20.
Okay, yeah. So we have a lot of different halls, and in fact, the hall that Shini stays in, they actually have rooms that have a toilet inside, and it's super clean and pristine, and it feels almost like a 5-star hotel room. I'm not kidding, because I stayed there, so speaking from experience, guys. Okay, so yes, let's get to some of the questions about hall. I see some of you are very, very curious to find out a little bit more about hall life. And if you've got any other questions about hall, feel free to send in your questions, okay? All right, so the first question we'll be answering is, should I stay in hall if I live near NTU? What can I expect for hall life in NTU? Okay, let's take should I stay in hall if I live near NTU first. Maybe from the local students, we can share our perspective. I think we all live rather far from NTU, right?
Yes.
So we just wanted to experience NTU, but what if we stay very near NTU? Should we?
Actually, I've had friends who live just opposite NTU, and yet they will still stay in the halls, because the halls really offer an experience like no other. It's a different kind of freedom, a different kind of way to dictate how you live your life.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really a lot of freedom, and I think it's certainly an experience that's worth giving a shot.
Right.
Yeah.
And so people are thinking, I stay opposite and I need to spend money to stay in hall. So how much are actually hall fees in NTU?
I would say a double room is about 300 plus, depending on what hall are you staying in. Then for a single room is about 450 per month. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So actually in NTU we can choose whether we want aircon halls, you want non-aircon halls, you want single room, or you want to have fun with a bunkmate or with like a roomie. You can also experience that. So we have single rooms, double rooms. We don't have triple rooms unfortunately,
Yeah,
but
we
I think
don't.
maybe that's something we can consider in the future. But for now, I think the price is actually also very reasonable. So Ethan's right. I think I also had friends who stayed really near, like in Lakeside. They call NTU like Pulau NTU, right? Because it's super west, but it really feels like you're on an island on yourself, and that's really good. Let me tell you why. Because nobody really comes into NTU, so you feel like this whole entire community, it's your kampong. You know, it's like your village. The people around here, you're so familiar with them. They're like your pals, and yeah, you know, like there's not really many strangers that come onto campus except for the Instagrammers who like to take photo in the Hive, the dim sum building that I showed you guys just now. But yeah, I feel that it's a very safe community here, and really we call it home away from home because I think in hall we have a lot of freedom to experience, you know, how it's like to just live on your own or to live with a friend, and you take a lot of personal responsibility for your life here. You get a lot more independent. In fact, during my hall, during the last year of my hall, I started embarking on like pre-packed meals in hall. So in the kitchen, I'll cook pre-packed meals every week, and it was so fun. I loved it so much. Okay, let's get Sheeny to share because Sheeny is actually an international student from Malaysia, right? So how does it feel to be away from your family, away from your parents, and do you feel like you are isolated in NTU, or do you feel a strong community here?
Okay, for someone who stays in hall all the time, I would say that hall
All
life.
the time, so
all
you
the
have no
time.
life apart from hall. Okay. Okay, but she's the hall
Yeah.
president, so we get it.
Oh, actually, to clarify, I'm the financial controller.
Financial
I'm
controller.
not the
Important.
president.
Later the hall president
yeah.
is like,
Later, Okay, so I would say that the hall life is a big part of my uni life. Even not just speaking for myself, but a lot of my friends who stay in hall too. So I would say that because it is a very strong community if you participate actively in the hall. So
Right.
yeah, when I first joined NTU, I participated in my hall orientation where I met a lot of friends there, and we are still like really close right
You
now.
made a lot of boyfriends? Or
No,
just friends?
unfortunately.
Okay, got it. Sorry, just
Yeah.
clarifying.
Yeah, so it's something that I'm looking forward every day when I go to school for the whole day. Then I'm looking forward to, oh, okay, I'm going back to hall soon. I can see my roommate. I can talk to my friends, hang around with them. Yeah, so I would say that hall life is a really interesting part of uni life.
Definitely. And I think the bed is just so comfortable, guys. I gotta take a moment to appreciate the bed. It's so comfortable. You just feel like snoozing the moment you go back to your room. Okay, true story. But I think beyond that, hall is really a place that is very comfortable for us, very, very safe for us as well. Okay, let's see if there are any other hall questions. How is hall life during COVID? Are there still hall activities? Now, I think that's definitely a question that a lot of people are wondering, you know, with the current restrictions, how is hall life? Do we still have that bonding activities, and are friendships still strong, or as a incoming freshman, do they have anything to worry about coming into halls? Do you guys have anything to share?
I think in NTU we're quite fortunate to have a very supportive school office that supports all these student activities. So it's
So
the
what are some
student-
student activities?
So it would be stuff like I think Shinyi knows, like a lot of the halls they have exam welfare initiatives. So they could, for example, give free food or give free welfare packs. I think that's something that all of us here enjoy and is common across all halls. But on top of that, you know, we also have activities like sports. You know, a lot of the halls will actually organize recreational sports like badminton or frisbee. So there's really a place for everyone when it comes to these kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And we also have IHG, right?
Yes, correct.
So what is IHG?
So IHG is an event where all the halls will come together and compete in a friendly way, of course. So in sports, we will have like
He just had to add that.
inter-hall frisbee, inter-hall basketball. Yeah, and on top of that, we actually also have events like HOCC, which is
Ooh,
the Hall
yes.
Olympiad closing
Closing
ceremony. So that's when all the dance troops from all the halls will come together for a performance. Yeah.
Yeah, you say Hall Olympiad, they're like, is it Math Olympiad, Science Olympiad? But no, really here in our hall lives, we have very, very diverse range of interests. You know, from chess club to, is it Totello? Trotello?
Othello.
Othello.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I know people who are in Othello, but I forgot what's the name. And then they have pool, they have
Jam band.
They have jam band.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're like a singer, if you're a dancer, if you like sports, there's really something for everyone here. I think it's very, very open for you guys to explore.
Yeah, just to add on, right, because there's a question regarding COVID. So actually most of the activities now are still ongoing. with social distancing. So for example, our jam band, our dance, our recreational games training, they are still ongoing. So like, don't worry, when you join us in August, you still have all these activities to experience.
Right. Is there anything that, any like word of advice for them, coming into hall from us?
I would say that if you plan to stay in hall, just try and immerse yourself fully in the hall experience, which is to join as much activities as you can. For example, like orientation, hall events, and any CCAs that you're interested in. Just try out yourself, and you'll know that if you like hall stay or not.
Right. Yeah. So I think on that, right? Maybe they're wondering, what's the difference between hall CCAs and school CCAs, and does that allow me to guarantee me a stay in NTU? How about Ellie? You can take that question.
So I think hall CCAs, they covered quite a bit on it, quite extensively. All your rec games, your
Dance,
jam
jam
band,
band.
dance, Sorry,
Othello, I got it now. Othello, okay.
Yes, Othello. For school CCAs, there's also quite a multitude of opportunities there. So that's what Ethan mentioned just now. I was from Welfare Services Club. So it's actually a NTU CCA where we do volunteering across different causes. There's 9 different causes from children, elderly, mental health, etc. So in terms of whether there's a difference in school or hall CCAs, I personally don't think there is much.
So actually, how halls are allocated past the first year, because if you remember, first year stay is guaranteed for everyone who applies, right? So actually, that's a very good plus point for NTU, because there's really so much supply of hall rooms. So if you want it in year 1, you're gonna get it. So So when it comes to like whether or not you get halls in subsequent years, if for example you were like a vice president of Welfare Services Club like Ellie here, then you qualify for like 9 ECA points, which is the maximum. So it puts you quite high on the priority list for hall allocation bidding.
Beyond year 1, right?
Yes, beyond year
So from
1,
like
correct.
year 2 to year 4, year 2 to year 3.
Yeah, so the school does reward you for contributing to student life in NTU, be it as a leader or even as a member. So I think my personal advice would be to just explore all the opportunities that are available to you. Not just because I want to get maximum points to get into hall, but also because these are
because
things.
it's the council president.
Yeah, but also because these are value-adding opportunities that can really help you develop soft skills and so on and so forth.
That's true. That's definitely true. Right, so I see a question that came in that says, is it difficult to get a hall in NTU? So I think we kind of covered that. So you do have the guaranteed stay for year 1. So if you feel like, oh, I just live across the road from NTU, but I want to experience the hall life, definitely give it a shot, okay? Okay. How about let's now go into something more outside of school related, into the internship world, into the working world. I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions about that. So let's head over to Yunnan Garden. Okay, wow, you guys must be thinking this doesn't look like Singapore. It isn't, because it's Pulau NTU, so it's Malaysia-ish. Kidding. Okay, so this is actually a very popular spot in NTU as well. So also one of the Instagrammable spots that we have in NTU, and this is actually quite a relatively new garden. So we do see a lot of Instagrammers coming in to take photos both at the Hive, the Dim Sum place, as well as this gorgeous waterfall. So if you see this on TikTok, right, now you know where it is. So thank you so much for attending this Meet the Student session. Okay, if you guys are just streaming in, we are actually going to share a little bit more. Oh, there was that color change. I feel like it's day to night, okay? If you're just streaming in, feel free to drop your questions over at slido.com/nbsoh. We are answering questions about internship, about our work life. Okay, so throw us all the questions. We are ready for you. So ask us as many questions as possible. All right, so let's get started with the most upvoted question for now. There's a compulsory professional attachment for students in year 1. Okay, I'm glad there's that compulsory professional attachment, okay? And are students able to get internship with just 1 year of studies? What kind of internship experience should I look for as a freshman? Okay, who has done internship in their first year?
All of us, yeah.
Oh, see, they're also qualified. Okay, anybody can answer then.
Okay, so I can just answer because, I mean, it seems very daunting to have an internship in just like year 1. And
why is it daunting?
Because originally it was in year 2. I think NBS pushed it forward to year 1 quite recently.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
in my days, it was year 2. Now it makes myself sound so old, but in their days, it's year 1. So, okay, you can continue.
but you see, even then it's in year 2, right? Both Ellie and Jen did internship in year 1 too. So I would say it's not very hard to get because there's a lot of resources in NBS. We have the Career Service Office, which will provide a lot of like guide, for example, mock interviews or even like Zoom
yes.
sessions for you. Yeah, so at the end of the day, actually a lot of my friends are able to get internship in year 1. So even
Right.
if you are not able to, you have the flexibility to push your internship to year 2. As long as you do it before you graduate, it is fine.
Yes, actually, that's a very good point that she brought up, right? Because I think a lot of my friends coming to university, especially the army boys, right? They're like, how can I get that head start in front of my friends? How can I get that first internship in my first year? And it's true, we come in a little unprepared, we come in a little intimidated. What is the working world like? But we have these career resources, career service resources available, very, very readily available in NTU and in NBS especially. They also have dedicated career professionals that are allocated to each specialization. So if like you're in marketing, you have a marketing consultant to ask, and they actually prepare you very well. I remember when I was in year 1, I went to the career office, I went to the marketing spec consultant, and I gave him my resume, and I was like, here, help me. Then he just sat me down. He's like, okay, this is how you revise your resume. This is how you get giving me very, very practical tips, right, on how I can prepare for my first internship, my first interview. When you go to your first interview, perhaps you're a little bit like nervous. You're like, how do I answer these questions? Don't worry, because I think this is something very normal, and it's really just part and parcel of soaking ourselves into this university experience. So, have you guys been in any like career service consultants or mentorship programs available in NTU?
I think personally for me, I did join one of the mentorship programs. So
Which one?
It was a management consulting one.
Ah,
Yeah, so
okay,
I was
okay.
actually attached to a management consultant who has been working in the industry for a few years. Because this was actually like I told the career services office, this is actually an industry that I'm interested in. Can you link me up with someone who's already in the industry? And lo and behold, they actually managed to get someone who is an alumni to really speak with me and tell me, how I can, choose certain options in terms of internships, in terms of case competitions, and how I can really work my resume to better prepare me for such an industry. Yeah.
Right. So how did we actually manage to clinch that first internship?
I think when it comes to professional attachment, right, like personally for me coming from JC, the whole idea of, sourcing for internships is a very new concept, right?
It's
I
like
think we can all agree.
Google.com is my best friend.
Yes, exactly.
And LinkedIn.com.
Yeah. But I think the school really helps in this area because apart from obviously us sourcing on our own, the school actually works with organizations to tell them, we have a bunch of students, they are going for a professional attachment.
Yes.
Do you have any opportunities that you will avail to them? So we can actually get them through the school as well. So it's a very good platform.
Right. And actually that also brings me to the point. So we actually have career foundation classes that makes you career ready, right? So if you're like, oh, how do I actually dress up for work? I just wear like Uniqlo every day. I don't really know how I can look professional, and how do people like get into suits, right? So we have career foundation classes for that, and they actually guide you on your appearance. How can you not look too shabby? How can you really put your best foot forward, right, in pitching during those interviews? And also during those career foundation classes over the years, they also then have the part 2 where they'll take a look at your resume. They'll give you tips, practical tips on how you can improve it, and also about elevator pitches, right? Within like 15 seconds, within 30 seconds, how can you describe yourself? And perhaps you are sitting down there like, I don't even know how to describe myself. Maybe I'm just like lazy and boring. It's okay. Maybe we were all at that stage before, but we will all get there with the help of these career foundation classes, right? So what about Ellie? What was the first internship that you did?
So I did a marketing internship in IBM because I'm really, really interested in...
What's IBM?
It's a tech company.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, IBM.
Okay.
So yeah, I did a digital marketing internship there, and how I sourced it was quite a funny story actually. I was just on Telegram browsing through and I saw this job opportunity there, so I just applied for it.
Okay. Right, okay. Yeah, so for me, actually the first internship that I did was in Capital Land. And then subsequently, with the help of the career office, right, I managed to explore other MNCs. So I went into Shopee, I went into Changi Airport Group, I went into Johnson's & Johnson's, I'm a little bit forgetting like what internships I've done now.
Too
But
many.
actually, no, but it really gives you the exposure. And I think it really helped us to make us very, very career ready, right? So I think for Ellie and I, okay, I've already graduated, but Ellie is at this stage of being able to graduate very soon in May. And I think, do you feel very career ready at this point?
Definitely. I think, the past 4 years of education has been really, phenomenal, I would say.
Whoa,
And
valedictorian speech right here. I feel like I'm in a graduation ceremony now, but okay.
I think because when I first came into NTU, I was very, very shy. I didn't want to speak up in class. I didn't like, I really, really dreaded class participation, true and true. But I think, for 4 years of education, through my internship experiences, I've gotten very comfortable speaking in public. I've gotten very comfortable sitting for interviews, and I think I've really become a lot more critical, a lot more creative, as well as a lot more confident.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. When you go into the working world, right, you don't just need hard skills, but you also need soft skills and interpersonal skills about how you can communicate with others, be a great team player. And I think one of the mentorship programs that I underwent in NBS was very helpful. So it was this mentorship program called Level Up program, and there are actually a lot of different such programs available that the school sources for us, right? So I went there, and then we have a very, very vast wide network of alumni base that we can tap on. So I think that's definitely like one of the plus points of NBS, right? Because we have so many different strong alumni and they're all very ready to come back to share a little bit more about their experiences. So during those mentorship programs, you can actually pick like who do you want to be your mentor, and what based on like what company they're from, the experience that they are from. And I think that really, really helped me to chart like my personal growth as a person and how we can then like get towards where I am in my career. So I feel that at the end of my MBS journey, when at the end of year 3, I was like, okay, I'm ready for the working world. I'm coming for ya. Okay. So I see some people are asking, will I get a lot of industries, learning, and career opportunities in NTU? I think that's something that we have covered. So yes, definitely. Apart from the career services, we have a lot of career fairs. So definitely a lot of companies, they come in and they recruit the best minds from NTU, right? So feel free to just go and attend these career fairs. I believe now they are virtual, unfortunately, but still a very, very good opportunity for you to network with alumni, for you to ask a little bit more about the companies that you're interested in. And if you're just coming into NTU and you're feeling like, I'm absolutely clueless, I have no idea what I want to do, then this is really the 3-4 years that you can take your time to kind of explore what you want to do. Right. Okay. So the next question is, can you cope with your academic workload while doing a part-time internship? So I think Ellie and I, we've both done part-time internships while studying. So Ellie, why don't you share a little bit more whether how you manage to balance it alongside with like all of your other commitments? How can you do that?
So a bit of context, I actually did a part-time internship in my 3rd year of university with a management consultancy called Boston Consulting Group. So I've actually interned for 4.5 days in 1 week. So
okay, so half days is in school. That's okay. That's very good because they might be wondering, like how can we have half day in school? In JC and Poly, we're just so used to like 5 days a week, right? So how can we actually have that 0.5 days in school?
So just now I mentioned that NTU and most universities operate on a module system.
Yeah.
So actually I had only 2 modules. So I had one that is online and the other one that is physical. So I needed only to attend for the physical 4-hour lesson. In school on Friday.
Right. Okay. That sounds great. I think really what she's trying to say also is about the flexibility that NBS offers. I think it gives you a lot of time to pursue any other thing that you want. So I have friends who are like financial agents, they are property agents, they are pursuing all these actively while balancing their studies, which is amazing, but it really goes to show, that flexibility that goes beyond the curriculum in school. Right, okay, so I think for myself, in my last semester, I did a part-time internship in Shopee, and I think it was 3 days, right? So 2 days a week of school. It can get quite intense, right? So I think it's really about how you're planning the modules. So when you come in as into year one, you can start thinking ahead, right? So when do I want to do this part-time internship, or do I even want a part-time internship at all? And if I want a part-time internship, then you have to kind of plan your modules such that in a semester it actually allows for you to take that particular amount of modules and credits. Yeah, so for every module there is a certain amount of credit, and we just have to kind of plan it all out. Okay, lay your life out before you and say, I'm here and where do I want to be? And that's actually all it is, right, to it. Yeah, okay. A lot of time management from the valedictorian herself. So you guys heard that? Better have good time management. Okay, okay. So the next question would be, is there a lot of freedom to do things you want to do outside of school, or even within school itself, or your passions? Okay, maybe Ethan can share a little bit more.
Yeah, so I think, earlier Ellie and Genevieve were really sharing about the flexibility that NBS offers. And I think that's also quite true for myself. Like personally, I'm very passionate about music. So apart from, the studies, the academic front, and also, managing the clubs that I'm involved in, I actually also teach drums outside. So this is actually something that I do for fun, and also gives me a bit of like pocket money to go to university. And it is something that I still manage to cope with, even on top of, the academic load, and also, the clubs and societies and hall activities. So it's really a lot of things, but I think the flexibility really gives you that space to manage how you want to use your time according to how you want. Yeah.
Definitely. And I think we all have the same 24 hours, right? So maybe you can give us a run through, how does a typical day in the life of Ethan look like? It's your time to do a vlog now, okay? Let's go.
I think it really depends on which day of the week we're talking about, right?
Any day.
So for me, personally, I like to compress all my classes together. So from Monday to Wednesday, I would usually take all my classes there. Then Thursday, Friday would be when I hopefully try and study. Yeah, and that will also be where I have...
sound very hopeful.
Yeah, and also during in between, I would also have like my hall activities like jam band, and I also like have my meetings with like ABC and also council. Then over the weekends, that would be when I get my rest, and also like perhaps when I would teach a few classes. Yeah. So it's quite flexible. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay, so I think on that, I'll also share, because I think I pursued a lot of different things beyond school. So I really feel that there is really a life beyond academics, right? So if you feel like, oh, you fall into that category of feeling that you want to pursue your passions beyond school, it's really, really possible if you have good time management. So out of school, during my university days, I did like freelance acting as well as hosting, and also I ran a side business of like designing acrylic frames. And aside from that, I was also training N-level students in entrepreneurship skills and marketing skills. And beyond that, I also had like internships, right? So how I really managed to balance everything is just having that very clear insight of what I wanted to achieve out of my university life. I think the university life for us is a very experiential stage where we are really going through this growth journey of understanding who we really are, understanding what we really want to pursue. So take your time at it, right? You don't have to feel like, oh, I need to do like 1,000 things in a day, but really like just slow down and just have that time to evaluate for yourself what is it that you really want to achieve in your university life. And I think it's very, very manageable once you have it all laid out, and then you plan your curriculums according to how many modules you want to take per semester, and I think it's very, very achievable from there. Okay, so the next question is, what is the difference between electives and minors and specializations?
That's quite a technical question. Okay, so electives are like modules that you would take that are complementary to the business modules that you take. So for instance, I'm a business analytics student, so I'll take modules like analytics, like machine learning. But on top of that, there are also a few credits that would go to the elective. So for example, if I wanted to learn Japanese, I could take Japanese level 1. That could be elective. There are also electives like Pilates. That's a very popular one.
And ceramics.
Yeah,
all of my friends were gunning for ceramics.
Correct. So the electives are really for you to broaden, your perspective and skills. It's based on what you're interested in. Then if you want to pursue like a minor, that would be when you allocate your electives that are tied to the minor. So if I wanted to take, for instance, like a minor in psychology, then I would focus on taking electives that are psychology related. Then when it comes to specializations, it's for the business students. So if, let's say, you're year 1 business and then you're looking, which specialization I want to go into, then this will affect like the kind of business modules you would take in your subsequent years. So if you're banking and finance spec, you would take more of the banking and finance modules. Then marketing, you take marketing modules. So it's like the focus of your business degree.
Okay, and they asked us, so what are some of the digital courses that MBS students take? Actually, we do have a lot of digital platforms available. So there's Coursera, there's Udemy, there's what else?
edX, yes.
Yeah, edX. Is it EduX? Okay, but basically, when you come in, even though I kind of like forgot, but yeah, that's because I'm getting old. But okay, yeah, so I think there are really a lot of different courses that are available for you, really for every single type of interest. Yeah, so I think that's really very, very extensive learning here in MBS. Just just beyond like the really academic classes, right? There is also like what Ethan mentioned. There's like Pilates, there's ceramics, etc. Very it goes really beyond the classroom. Okay, so I think we are nearing almost the end of this talk. So we have about 10 minutes left. So you guys, if you've got any questions about internships, about school life, feel free to ask the questions over here, okay? So someone is asking, hello, how did each of you eventually choose your specialization? Okay, that's a very good question because I feel that we all have rather diverse specializations. So maybe we will share about that, right? So I think for me, I was very, very clear that I wanted marketing. So in year one, actually, we have different modules that exposes you to all the different types of specialization, very, very closely related. We have like financial accounting, which exposes you to the accounting side of things. We have financial management, which exposes you to the finance side of things. And then for me, there was that marketing course as well. So these are all compulsory courses in year one. And so when I took the marketing course, I felt like, oh, like this is my cup of tea. So therefore, I went ahead with marketing. As easy as that. What about you guys? How did your journey look like?
For me, I was choosing between marketing and business analytics. So that's why I actually took up a marketing internship at a technology firm, because that will give me the exposure to decide between those two. So I was considering where I want to be in future, what kind of skill sets I want to build in my undergrad journey. So that is kind of how I landed on business analytics.
Right.
Because I'm quite interested in coding and digital
Wow,
transformation.
a techie girl. Okay, got it. Okay, what about Ethan?
Yeah, I think personally for me, I think this really highlights the importance of internships. Actually, this was something that I wanted to share earlier. So a lot of times people think that for your professional attachment in year one, you need to be very clear about what you really want to do, and then you pick the internship that suits that particular direction you're going towards. But actually for me, that wasn't really the case. Actually, I went into my first internship, which was at an NGO, really thinking that I wanted to do marketing and HR. But actually, through the internship experience, I actually discovered how useful data analytics was, and how you can really make sense of data to come out with insights that will help to make a business or organization better. And that was really where I discovered that maybe business analytics would be something that I'm interested in. So I think it was really a combination of what you're interested in, what you're passionate about, and also what are the possible career options you would have once you graduate. So these are both things that you can consider on top of many other factors, obviously. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Awesome. Actually, just now I saw quite an interesting question. So it asked, are we guys like non-business students before? And if we are non-business students, is it easy to enter NBS?
Okay, this one I can answer because I'm not a business student. In
I
fact,
think we all were business students.
you were too?
We were all like JC students.
Science.
So
yeah, same. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like totally unrelated to business. We just kind of like went for it and took that risk, took that step of faith, right? Yeah, so maybe we can share a little bit more about why we wanted like business school.
Why we wanted? Because for me it's because that when I studied science, I eventually know that I'm not a science person. Yeah, I don't want to study science or engineering related stuff. So I start exploring like accounting and business, and I think that I'm leaning towards like accounting side. So yeah, that's why I applied for accounting. But at first, you don't need to know exactly what, like banking or finance or what do you need. You just have to know that are you leaning towards accounting or business?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good starting point. And then from there, you just come in, you dive deep into the ocean, and then you swim around and you discover the different specializations. That's basically like a summary of our lives in NBS, right?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay. Notice that both of you are from business analytics. Does the other specializations also train us in tech skills?
Yeah, actually, if you come to NTU, you have to take a Python course now. For year one.
It's compulsory.
It's compulsory. So everyone will pick up the Python. It's the most essential programming language now. So you pick it up, you do a project on it, so you have a basic understanding of how coding works.
Right.
Yeah.
I think one more thing that's very special about NBS is that we are a business school in a technological university, because you know Nanyang Technological University.
Yes, I definitely
So
know that.
the know-how on the digital and tech side is really very strong. So I think the school really recognizes that, you know, tech is becoming a very important part of what the companies and the industries will look like in the future. So regardless of whether you're in BA, banking and finance, HR or marketing, they all will incorporate, you know, some element of tech skills into what you're learning that are very specific and relevant to that particular specialization. So it's really not a case where, oh, you're in BA, then you learn tech skills, the rest don't. Actually, all of us will learn tech skills that are relevant to the spec.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even that I'm in accounting, right, I have like tech module. For example, now I'm taking a module that teaches us SAP.
What's SAP? Sorry.
SAP is a enterprise planning software that most of the companies are using right now. Yeah, and we are also learning UiPath, which is like an automation software. So yeah, no matter what specialization or what courses you are in, you have the opportunity to learn the digital skills. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's also something very important for us now. Like, you know, in our current day and age, you don't just need those like particular specialization skills, but you really need those tech skills to really go above and beyond in your workplaces as well. Okay, so another question that we're gonna answer: any tips you would like to give for the admission, application, and interview?
I think one thing that I guess worked for me was being very authentic and sharing, you know, about how your experiences in the past, in the previous schools, in your previous positions that you may have held, how they influence like your decision to come to business and how you think it would be relevant to business or accounting. I really do think that being authentic is a very important point for any kind of admission or application
Definitely,
process.
just be yourself, right? Just like, especially I think in their write-up, like when they submit the form, it really needs to show a little bit more about who you are as a person. I think when your personality comes through very strongly, and in passion as well, I think it's personality and passion. If your passion comes through very strongly as well, that's definitely a plus point, because they can really see, you know, like what are you standing for in your life, right? So I think that's definitely a very helpful advice as well from Ethan. Okay, any other advice? What about for scholarships?
For me, at the time, I didn't just focus on academic side. I wrote about like all the activities I've joined, the leadership experiences, like just show all the sides of you. Yeah, I guess you have to find your unique point and try to shine. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, she's very right. It's like your unique selling point. So I also, like, on my application, I wrote a lot more about like what I do outside of school, and I think that's what really got me in. So yeah. Okay. We are nearing the end. I see we've got very, very few questions left. So okay, let's go to one more question. It's the last question for the day, or if we have more time, we'll try to answer one more, okay? So the question is, how important is GPA? Okay, maybe I'll start first, okay? Okay, I guess Ali's GPA is pretty good because she's a valedictorian. So I'll start from a non-grade GPA perspective, okay? So being very honest, my GPA isn't great, but I think what I really focused on beyond like the academics, right? Like I did my part in like studying and contributing to the projects in school, but I think I also really spent a lot of my time on like my passions out of school, on like growing my business, on just improving myself in my personal branding and growing myself as a person. And I think that really reflected when I applied for different companies. So I think in that, in all of the companies that I applied, they never actually looked at my internship, but they looked at who I was as a person as well as my resume. So yeah, so I managed to secure them like all the different internships. So I think it's really, in this day and age, for marketing specialization in particular, they look more at your experiences. But I guess for finance and like investment banking, that kind of industries, then they will look at your GPA, correct?
I think GPA is like one aspect in which, you know, like people who are trying to hire will look at, but it's not the only aspect. So there are other more important aspects as well. There's obviously, you know, what you did outside of your academic curriculum. You know, did you explore other opportunities? Did you have leadership opportunities? Did you do volunteering? You know, all these things will come into consideration when, when people want to know like who
Definitely.
you are as a person.
Yeah.
So obviously if you could have all, you could have like lots of leadership experiences, lots of internship experiences, and you have like a 5 out of 5 GPA, that would be awesome, right? But we
can't
only
have
have so much
everything.
time, only
Yeah.
so much effort. Yeah. So I think it's really about placing your time and energy into what you think is important for where you want to go, and GPA is really just one of these points. It's not the
Yes.
be all and end all. Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe they are coming from the perspective where in JC, like academics is everything. Like you need good grades in order to get into university. So maybe they're thinking from that perspective. But I think when it comes to university, there are many different facets to our university life. As we shared, there is hall life, there is CCA life, there is internship life, there is your school life, but there's also your own personal time life, right? So I think in NTU, we have these 3 triangles of sleep, social circle, or what's the last S? I kind of forgot. Sleep, social circle,
And grades.
and grades. Yeah,
Yeah.
so you can kind of choose one to opt out. Okay, kidding. But yeah, so I think really what we're trying to say here is really how we focus our time, how we really prioritize what we want to focus on in our time here. We all have the same 24 hours and we can't really achieve every single thing that we want to set out to do. So I don't think that the point is really to like overachieve, but really to just see yourself down when you're coming into NBS and say like, what is it that I really want to bring out, or what is it that I want to leave NTU and NBS with. Yeah, so I think that's the value that you can bring to the corporate world as well, and I think that's what we've been experiencing thus far in NBS. Right, okay, so I see that we are just 1 minute away to the ending, so why not let's get Shini to say some last words. Do you have any advice? We can all give a few sentences of advice.
Okay, we have shared like a lot in this past 1 hour, right? And hope that you have some thoughts about what you can expect, like studying here in NBS, what your student life, your whole life, and what you can like join when you join us in NBS. So looking forward to see you all in August.
I think as we've all shared, the university experience really offers a lot of things. Obviously, there's the academic front, the internships, and also the CCAs and hall life. There are really so many things, and there's really a lot to look forward to. And I think, all of us being NBS and NTU students, we think we've really learned a lot, really developed a lot as individuals. And we hope that, this platform, these opportunities would be available to you as well, and hopefully you will choose us as your next school of choice. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, I think just quick, Ellie, do you have any last sentence to share?
I guess just a word of advice for everyone, just keep an open mind and have fun. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Yeah. So we are wrapping up today's session. I think we've shared a little bit more about why NTU, why NBS, and we've heard, from all of our very diverse backgrounds, what it really is like to be in NBS. And we are really looking forward to have you be a part on this exciting journey on board with us. So if you're willing to experience, take that step of faith and experience this NBS fast track life with us of that 3 years that you're going to spend here in NTU, then come join us in August. So I know now's the application time, so do give it a shot, okay? And we wish you all the best, but thank you so much for joining us here today in the Meet the Students session 2022, and we hope to see you really soon. Thank you!
Bye, thank you.
Bye.